In today's video, I'm going to show you how to take your textures to the next level by using Trellis2 in combination with Modddif. Both tools are free to use, and by the end of this video, you will be able to completely retexture your generated 3D AR models with AI in no time. Having said that, let's dive right into it. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Of course, for the ones who don't know me yet, as always, my name is Philip from Pixel Artistry, and today I'm going to show you how to retexture your Trellis2 model. Since I asked in my last Trellis2 video about if you would like to see it, and a lot of you responded in the comments that you would actually really enjoy to see that, so here it is. And basically, to get started and in preparation, I just created 3 models for the 3D model that we're going to use today. So just to know, we are going to tackle this lady over here. We will have a front view, but we also have a side and a back view for her. And of course, we are going to first generate our model again in Trellis2 and ComfyUI with the Trellis2 high quality workflow I showed you in the last video. In case you would like to see how to set up Trellis2 and install it, you can check out this video here. And in case you would like to see how the Trellis2 high quality workflow is working in detail, you can check it out here in this video. So basically, to get started is, of course, we need to upload our image. I will make sure to use here a high resolution. For some of you with like low VRAM, I would recommend to use either like 1024 or even 512. I'm using here a high step size for good quality. And one thing we need to change is basically because our face number over here is quite high. It's about 2 million at the moment, and that's a lot, but we need to reduce it because once we're going to import it into Modddif to retexture our model, we need a lower face count, otherwise it won't work. Because you will see here on the Modddif documentation that it says for free users, the limit is 150k triangles, and for the pro users, it's a max of 1.5 million. So make sure to reduce this number to something like 100k, and this will then be fine because otherwise we can't keep our texture and UVs. So make sure to have that, and to make sure to set it here on the Simplify Mesh node in the refiner, but as well, of course, in the mesh generation itself. Okay, great. And this is basically the only steps I do. I can also increase our resolution over here as usual, but apart from that, I think this is a great and solid base. And then we can go and run our workflow. And once generated, this is the result we get. And you can see that Trellis2 is giving us here a great base for further refinement. And it also did the hairs quite well, I would say. Face structure is also fine geometry-wise. You will notice that with this workflow, we also get, the original texture. You will see that we also get a base texture from this part. You could also skip it by, selecting it with Control and then Control and B. But in case you would leave it on, it will give you a texture already. I will link you, of course, all the workflows we are using in this video down below in the video description to download, or you will also find them directly on our free Discord server. So anyways, what I would like to do is that since we have a texture here, and you could take this one now directly into Modddif, but one step I would still like to do is that we texture our character with the Trellis2 multi-view method, because what I experienced so far is that this is giving us even more precise textures. So I will show you as a next step exactly how you can do that. So actually, to texture our mesh with the multi-view mesh method in ComfyUI with Trellis2 is that I'm loading in here the Trellis2 multi-view texturing workflow, which you will also find down below. And maybe you remembered from the last video I made where I showed you this already, but just to recap, we have here our load mesh node where we will now import our mesh. To do that it's very simple. We will go to our ComfyUI folder, which is over here. Then I will go into ComfyUI, then into custom nodes, then into output. And over here you will see this is the latest character that we had. Of course, here I called it Dwarf Warrior, which is of course bullshit for this one. So just make sure to rename it up front in ComfyUI, there's a renaming node that you can use in the workflow, but for now this is fine. So I will choose here the GAB file, this is important, and then I click here, right click, copy as path, then I will go back in here and I will make sure to select everything here, make sure to remove the double quotes on the beginning and end, and once I have that, we have then loaded our mesh over here. Of course, we want then to use the multi-views that I showed you before, so the front and the back view, as well as our side views, so those ones over here. And once I uploaded all of them, I can then already hit run again, and then it will texture our 3D model from all sides. Both workflows I'm showing here, depending on your settings, can be run on a 8 GB VRAM GPU with low settings, and for the high settings, you will need at least 16 GB of VRAM up to 24 GB. Just to give you a base, like to estimate, you know, what you can run with Trellis2. When you only generate the mesh with Trellis2, it could even be only 6 GB of VRAM. Okay, alright, and once the workflow run through, you will see that we get here a modified texture already, which I think is great, like from her base and so on. I think this is working really well, but we can take it, of course, to another level now with Modddif, because for example, when we zoom in here on her face, we will see it's not really detailed and very blurry. So we can change that now by first importing her into Blender, then we're going to prepare the mesh for Modddif, and then we take this model directly into Modddif. So once I'm in Blender, what I will do is just go File, Import, and GAB. Then I will go to our folder where we generated our mesh, which is this one here. And once we're here, you will see that we have our texture and the model itself. Just make sure that we're pressing here Tab and go into the Edit mode. Then I will hit right click, Merge Vertices by Distance. And you will see that it then removes a lot of vertices for us. Alright, and once we have merged the vertices, there are two steps we can still do. By the way, don't wonder here that it looks faceted. What you can do is simply select her, shade smooth, and you will see that we have a smooth shapes over here. So there's nothing wrong with the model or something. And next step is that we can now export her to Modddif. So what I will do is go File, Export, and then hit here .gab again. Then I can say here something like woman, and I don't know, merged vertices, something like this. Since we did that, make sure that you only include selected objects. And once we have that, I can then click here, Export GAB. We can then navigate to modddif.com, make sure that you go here to sign up. And once you created an account, we can then go to your new project, create here a public project. And once we have that, I can then go here to import. We can then select our GAB file, which is in this case, this one here. And then I will double click it, say here, import 3D object. And once we have that, you will see that our model gets imported with our texture already, which is great in case you would like to keep it and just refine details. Next step is now that we can go then directly into the texture tab over here, and we have now two options. The first option is that we keep our texture and just refine like very specific parts, which I will show you in a second. Or in case you just have the model or would like to retexture the whole thing, what you can also do, and this is a great starting point, is that you first go to multi-view, and I will disable the base texture for now because we will use it later on just as another example, but you can use it like this, for example. Then I would go here to the bottom left and upload a reference image, which is this one in this example. Then I will say something here like woman, light skin, that's enough usually. And what I can do then is that I hit here generate, and then Modddif will generate our texture from each angle. And don't worry, the method I'm showing you here right now is the one that has baked in shadows, but don't worry, I will also show you a way how you can create in a solid albedo texture without any shadow details, because this is also included into Modddif. Okay, and this is what we get straight out of the box with the multi-view, and obviously it's not looking that great yet, but this is mostly because sometimes it's creating layers that will blend over each other, and this is then not working well. So what I usually do is going through those layers by going here to the layer tab and then just, you know, disabling the visibility to see what layer is usually causing that. So you will see, for example, here that this one is blending over and this one one here also more or less. Maybe we can keep it and then just further refine it. You know, what we can do now is that I'm going first here to fill missing area, which will get us away from those dark spots. And what I then usually like to do, and which I think is the most powerful way with Modddif, is that we can go to single view. And what I can do then is actually, for example, to retexture her trousers over here, is that I'm going into the in-page section over here. Then I'm going to paint first off the region that we would like to change. So something like this here, for example. You see I'm in the 4K mode right now, which is the paid version. So let's revert back to 2K and say here cancel. And because obviously I want to show you the freeway first, and then you can decide for yourself in case you would like to upgrade or not. So what I can do now is first to create a new layer, because we would like to create it on top. Then I'm going to paint with left mouse button, just selecting here the area that we would like to have changed. Then I'm saying here generate image, and then it will create a new image based on the view that I just masked out here for our model, and this will be there in a second. And then as you can see, this is giving us a good preview over here. And what I can do now is going here to this symbol and then just paint over, and you will see that we get way more defined textures, which are looking great and way better than what we had before. So just make sure to paint here over it, and then once we have that, you will see that it's baked into this layer here, and once we disable, you will see that we get a way more defined texture, which is working way better. You can always clear the in-paint region by clicking on here, and then you can draw a new mask. Usually I do the same with the face, but for this one there is a special trick we can do, which is always great, you know, to create more detail in general and better reference images, is that I can go here on the symbol on the image, that I say here create variations, and then let's say close up of her face. Then I'm saying generate, and then it will generate an image, which is a close-up of her face. And just look at the detail, which is amazing here. So I will say add as a new reference image, and then it's here. Then make sure to select it here on the bottom left. Then I can now mask it again by just painting on it. Maybe let's create also a new layer, you know, that we have it on top. And then I can say again generate image, and then once we have that, what I can do now is go back to in-paint like we did before, and you will see we get now this really amazing detail, you know, on the parts we would like to have. Especially her face, you know, looks so much better than what we had before. So you can definitely see that you can play around with that. Of course there will be like spots which need to be refined. So this will take a bit of time actually to do that, because obviously her back doesn't look great right now. So let's quickly fix that as well. And you can see I hit some layers now again that were covering the backside, which was really not looking that good. I will now upload my back view, which I have over here. And then I will say, that it should generate the image again. Then I'm going to create a new layer. And the great thing is as well that in the single view, we can also apply the whole view onto our mesh, so that we don't have to paint it each time. So what I can do now, once it's generated, I can say here add as layer, and you will see that it then gets directly applied to our mesh. And this is of course also speeding up the whole process. I can now do it with the rest. For this one, we can then either do time lapse or just cut it, until we see the good model. All right, and then after some repainting, as you can see, we already have a better result. We can also always make sure, and I think this is really a really cool feature, because you will see that we still have a black spot underneath her neck. And what we can do now is to reach that is that first I'm going to lower my brush size with shift, and then I'm going to segmentation. And usually you will be able to use auto segmentation. For this model, for some reason it doesn't work, but that's no problem, because what we can still do is to create a segment over here, and then it's very easy. We can just paint the segment on top, and this will then paint a mask for us for the parts that we need. Maybe I was a bit too quick here, so something like that maybe. we can also, you know, erase this away. Just make sure that we erase this part or mask this part that we don't want to see because it's blocking us right now. So something like this could already work. Maybe, you know, this is obviously very rough right now. I'm sure you can do that way prettier than what I do right now here. But anyways, what we can do now, once we created the segment, is that we go back to our texture mode over here. Then I will zoom in here quickly. Then I will go over here to segments, and you will see when we go over it, it will already highlight the segment we have here. And the best thing is we can disable the visibility here. And now it will be way easier to texture the spots which are hard to reach. And this is a really, really nice feature. I think that was just implemented like, I think yesterday or something by the Modddif founder. So I think this is really great. And yeah, cheers to that. So what I can do now is, you know, go to the lower back here. Then I will choose our image again, our face close up, and now I can regenerate, and then I can just paint the part over here that is kind of covered and which was black. Of course, this looks very rough right now, so maybe let's regenerate. See, this looks a bit better. So you know, just to have the face detail captured over here, and that we don't have, you know, an empty neck anymore, like a black neck. So what I can do then is clearing my selection over here, and then we will blend in our segment here again, and you will see that around the neck area we now have it painted, which I think is very handy too. You will see overall that I did now like a quick paint. It was just like 2 to 3 minutes. I'm sure you will get that way fancier than what I have, but you know, just to show you the potential of what this tool can do, I think it's really impressive. To show you now the way you can of course not use the multi-view projection. So what you can do, for example, as well is disable all those layers that we have here right now, like this, until we have it gray, and we will see that we have our base texture over here, which was the texture we had from Trellis2 by default, and we can leave it as it is, for example, here. And what I can do now as well is just repaint her face, for example. So I would just, you know, go back into the mask mode, selecting it here, and then generating it with single view, and then paint on top. So that's basically what I would do for this one, and this is how you can then make very special adjustments, you know, on the texture itself. One more thing that we can do, which I think is great, is that when you go here to this little wheel over here, you can choose between realistic and albedo, and this will then remove like most of the shadows from our generation. Just to show you what I mean is when I go now here to albedo, and then I'm going to regenerate our image over here, you will then see that Modddif is creating then an image which is mainly delit. You can see here that, you know, it removes basically like most of the shadow details on the area that we just defined over here. So what I can do then is either directly apply it as a layer, basically like this, or what I can do of course as well is that you know, I'm just repainting here the mask, then go again to generate image, and then just paint it here with more detail overall, and you can see this technique works usually even better. And then you can see that you have more detail over here. All right, great. And once you are then happy with your textures and your layers and so on, what we can do now is export our model, and that you then have it again for use, for example, in Blender. So what you can do then is going here on this little symbol, then choose here something like GLB, for example, but you could also choose OBJ. I would choose here GLB then, and we'll save it then. And then once we have that, we can then go back into Blender. And just to show you the difference, when I import it now into here, so file import GLB again, and then I have my model over here, and you will see definitely that we have then more precise textures, you know, in her face and so on. Of course, this is still not a clean result. Also, when I look here in the back, there's still a lot of stuff I could have improved, you know, but this I will leave up to you, you know, for the to kind of refine it and to paint the details and so on it. But let me know down below what texture workflow you are using at the moment and which one you prefer. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. As always, make sure to join my free newsletter Future Frames, which I will also link you down below, and please make sure to subscribe to the channel in case you found this video useful. Having said that, see you on the next